Well, hello everybody. It's year 2, day 2 in Woodland Caribou Provincial Park. Jackson, you want to tell them what time it is?
It is like 8:27.
26. He's off by a minute. It's the old hand trick. You put it on the horizon. You know what time the sun sets, and you sort of backtrack from there. Anyways, you know what they said about the two guys looking for adventure?
No.
They found it. Today was an adventure. So we started out on the lake just south of Knox, and we had a 1,500 meter portage to get into Knox Lake. And it started out kind of like a wet, marshy trail, and we didn't like that, and there was a beaver dam. So we decided to haul over the beaver dam. Water seems like it's high, although it hasn't been raining for a while. So, which kind of worked in our favor. The water being high, we could pull over the beaver dam, and then we got to the trail proper, and a lot of people have commented on how the first 400 yards or so of the trail can be boot-sucking muck. And I wouldn't say it was boot-sucking.
No, but it was definitely sinking.
Yeah, a little bit of sinkage, and you kind of had to wobble across some logs. But we got through that, and I think that portage took us in total hour 15.
Yeah.
Something like that, to get our stuff across the 1,500. We try to one portage everything, but these long ones that we've been on, and being so heavy starting out, it has given us a little bit of a challenge. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, he knows what I'm saying. I hope you do too. So we got to the other end. Jackson rigged up the rods. I dumped the canoe about a third away across the portage, so then I had to go back and get that. And by the time I got back, he was rigged up, and we pushed out. And we had a map from one of the local fly-in operators that has an outpost on Knox Lake, and his map showed that the first island just north of the portage is good walleye fishing. And we pulled up, and there was a boat in there from the outpost, and we asked them kindly if they didn't mind if we fished for a little while, and they were quite polite, and they said go ahead. And so we dropped our jigs and we started slaying the walleye. And it's kind of tough out of the canoe. It's hard to get that hook set, so we missed a bunch, but we ended up pulling in, I think I got 3, you got 2, and he got a pike as we were trolling into the spot. And we fished that for about 45 minutes or so, and then we decided to haul anchor and head to the north end of Knox, where we got into Knox Creek, and that's where the adventure began. The 1,500 meter portage was certainly hard. The creek was harder, basically because we don't have a lot of intel on that creek from all the stuff that I read online and look at and trip reports. Nobody seems to go that way. I think when people hit Knox, they head west into that next outpost lake, and I forget the name of it now. It'll probably come to me as soon as we turn off the camera. But we headed north, and we went into Knox Creek, and the first portage, we knew we were in for it, because the portages up to this point have been well traveled, more so than last year, I would say. And when we got to the portage, we were kind of wondering if it actually was a portage, but there were portage blazes and whatnot. So we carried our stuff across, and then we got into the creek, and we started paddling up the creek, and things were going okay. We were kind of getting pushed around by the current a little bit, and we had to sort of figure out how to paddle a really tight creek. And then we came to a log that was down. Some windfall had fallen down across the lake, and or the river, creek rather, and we kind of chuckled, and we were able to sort of push our way under it. And then we came around the corner, and there was some more deadfall, and there was no way we were going to get around it. So we had to get out of the canoe. By this point, we were soaking wet because we basically had to get in the creek. And I had to break out the saw, and we had to cut our way through. And I've been doing a lot of canoeing over the years, but that's the first time I ever had to cut my way through a creek. And then we kept going. I was getting a little bit nervous, and then There were some other spots where we had to get out of the canoe and basically, weight it?
Yeah, and then drag it over like a log.
Drag it over logs, and it was just it was a mess. And this went on for about 2 hours, and I think we were both starting to get a little nervous about whether the creek would ever end. And there's a lot of oxbows and a lot of creeks that maybe you think, well, maybe that would be the better option to paddle up that as opposed to staying in the main channel. And so eventually, we got to another spot where there were a bunch of down trees, and we basically had to portage over sort of that elbow. And I don't know if anybody's ever done that before. We basically just bushwhacked our way through, got back in the water, and the fun continued. And then we eventually got to the portage, and we felt pretty good. And we ended up on the lake that you are visiting us. And it's just the lake to the north of Knox Creek. And when we continue north tomorrow, we're going to end up in Young Lake. So it's a little pocket lake. And the map does show that there's a campsite here. Although, I don't know when the last person was that stayed here. We're basically camped on the beach. Our tent is on the beach because there's no tent pad. No, it's going to work okay, I think, as long as the water doesn't come up. And then for food today, you want to tell them?
Yeah. Food today, we got up pretty early, had some oatmeal, and then we left.
What time did we leave?
7:56 we left.
Exactly.
And around, what time was it? 12:45
When
we stopped for lunch.
Yeah, something like that.
12:45 at the portage from Knox to Knox Creek. And we had salami sandwiches with rye bread and Dijon mustard. And for dinner, we had some steak with a salad and some vegetables. And dessert, we had like a peach cobbler
It
kind
was
of thing.
really good. We were both really hungry. We were tired when we got here, and we managed to rally and get everything done, and now we're sitting here talking to you. Tomorrow we're doing one portage. We're going to go into Young, and we're going to pick out a Brody campsite and hopefully stay there for at least a night, maybe two. We wanted to get all the way to Lynch Lake, but we know there's another creek between Young and Lynch, and based on our experience today, was that a fish?
Yeah.
Based on our experience today, we're kind of nervous about going up creeks. We got to go back down that one later in the week. Weather? You want to give them the weather report?
Weather was the same as yesterday, except today we had like a little bit more cloud coverage. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
We're going to get a beauty sunset.
Yeah.
So what else?
Oh,
Anything else?
mailbag.
Oh, mailbag. You got the mailbag? I got the mailbag. You want to do the first question?
Yeah, I'll do the first question.
Mailbag caught up to us. So
Okay.
This is kind of a tradition, I guess. We were getting mail last year on our trip, and apparently we got another mail drop today.
Okay. Michael Mundelius asks, how you doing on scotch?
Oh, Michael, thanks for writing in. We don't have the radios with us for this part of our trip. That's gonna come when we do the flying after we're done canoeing. So thanks for the radios, and I hope JJ is doing well at Union General in my absence. I'm doing well up until probably a half an hour ago. I was on schedule, and we're having such a nice time, and it's such a beautiful evening that I cracked into the day 3 bottle flask, if you will. So maybe a little behind schedule. And Glenn Levitt, if you're still viewing, I know you're a viewer. I know you watched a lot last year, and you did a nice airdrop for us and brought me in an extra bottle. That'd be great. But I also did a little double up to catch up this year. So last year I only had 1 bottle. This year I have 2 split between 4 flasks, and I'm now into the 2nd flask. So a little ahead of schedule, but that's okay. Having a great time.
Okay. You want to do question 2?
What was question 2?
Toothpaste.
Okay. This question comes from Chieko Kakihana. How are you doing on toothpaste? Last year you ran low.
Yeah, my dad brought more toothpaste this time because last time we were running low, so we're doing pretty good on that. We're not going to need to go into our ketchup supply.
Do we still have a surplus of ketchup?
I'm pretty sure we do.
Okay, we still have a surplus of ketchup. All right, final question. We only got three letters today. Or
Here, I'll do the third question.
you want to do the third one? Okay, it's there at the bottom.
Okay, the third question is from George Sauter, and he asks, how's the skiing?
Oh, George, it's a recurring theme with you. Again, we're in Canada, and when we're in Canada, you can do other things than go skiing. Although Canada is a great place to go skiing, and I'm looking forward to going with you again in, when am I going? February, I think, up in BC. But no, it's summertime up here, George, and contrary to the popular myth, it's not always snow on the ground here. The lakes are not as firm as they usually are. Most of the year, I think these things are pretty firm. But right now, I'd say the water temperature is in the 70s.
Yeah.
Probably in the 70s, and the fish are biting, so we're having an absolutely fantastic time. So how do we want to fade out? Do we want to show them that bird?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to show you this bird that we're sharing this campsite
Oh,
with.
in the sun.
Oh, in the sunset.
Okay.
That sunset will get better.
Okay, there's our sunset.
And
And
then we're going to walk with you. You're walking through our campsite, as it were. You're going to see something that I hope doesn't attack us.
you get through over there? Yeah.
We hope you're enjoying the interactive portion of tonight's video.
Okay, it's this big old eagle-looking thing.
Can you zoom in?
I just did. Sitting right there.
It's been sitting there the whole time. We think it's on a nest,
We're not sure though.
so we're trying to be cool.
Oh.
Not certain if this is cool. Anyways, for Jackson, this is John as we fade out. Good night.